Hi there, welcome to Long Distance Review, and welcome to my new studio. I don't know what to call it. Anyway, I've decided to use green screen because I got a bit bored of the background I was using prior to this, and it wasn't really interesting. With green screen, I can do anything in the background. This is where I'm meant to sort of flick through different things and look at me here, look at me there, but I haven't really thought that far ahead, to be honest. So whatever I've done here is just what I've decided to do in the edit after. But it does enable me to actually get more videos out regularly because I can do it in my workplace, which is where I am at the moment. And so I'm essentially getting paid to do this. So it's a win for me, really. Anyway. So yeah, welcome to Long Distance Review. This review is going to be for the new Killswitch Engage album, entitled Atonement. I know this came out last week, but I've sort of lived with it for a week, and a lot of albums came out recently, which I've been trying to listen to, Slipknot. So it's taken me a while to sort of get around to it, but I think I've lived with it for a week, and I think I've got a good sort of grip on it now. Killswitch Engage are a sort of legendary, let's say, metalcore band. They essentially started the metalcore genre off in the early 2000s, when it was at its peak of power. They were formed in 1999, and they're from America, and this will be their 8th studio album. Their debut album came out in the year 2000. It was a self-titled album, and it was with original vocalist Jesse Leach on it. More on him later. They then followed that up with the legendary Alive or Just Breathing in 2002, and Jesse Leach went off to pastures new. He was replaced by vocalist Howard Jones, and they then released the exceptional End of Heartache in 2004. I felt after that Killswitch Engage dropped off a little bit with Howard Jones, as Daylight Dies came out in 2006, and that was a pretty decent album. And then the absolutely dreadful self-titled Killswitch Engage album, second self-titled Killswitch Engage album, came out in 2009. Howard Jones then left the band and was replaced by none other than original vocalist Jesse Leach, and they released the absolutely brilliant Disarm the Descent in 2013. This was followed up by the ever so disappointing Incarnate in 2016. Seems to be a bit of a pattern emerging there of good album followed by bad album, but more on that later. So I did feel like they needed something quite big from this album, and well, we'll get onto what it is in a bit. Anyway, the personnel on this album is Jesse Leach on vocals, Adam Djukowicz on guitar and backing vocals, also producer of the band, and I've probably pronounced his name wrong. Talking of pronouncing names wrong, the other guitarist is Joel Strobel, and Mike D'Antonio on bass, and Justin Foley on drums. And I thank Justin for his easy name. This album opens up with the song Unleashed. Unleashed was the first song they dropped from the album before the album came out properly, so essentially it's the first single off the album. And Unleashed is a great song in my eyes. It's a real belter of an opening track, and it really showcases Jesse's brilliant vocal talent. Now, if you didn't know, Jesse had vocal problems last year. He had to have surgery on his vocal cords, and he had to have speech therapy and basically learn to sing again. So to come back with this album and perform this strong is exceptional. It's got all the stock Killswitch Engage rapid fire riffing and drumming over the melodic chorus that we all come to love from Killswitch Engage, but it's a really, really good song. It's the best song they've dropped as a single since probably Disarm the Descent came out. The second song on the album is the much anticipated The Signal Fire. Much anticipated because when Killswitch Engage were recording this album, they sent photos of the studio out, and who else was in the studio but former vocalist Howard Jones alongside Jesse Leach. So it was a duet between Howard and Jesse. Killswitch Engage fans were salivating at the prospect of this, obviously. Now this song, it's not a bad song at all, but really can it live up to the hype that it seemed to gain as the album was being recorded? No, it can't. It's decent, let's say. I do struggle to pick between the vocals sometimes between Howard and Jesse, which is strange. But I guess I'm not as big a Killswitch Engage fan as some people, and maybe to some this is just exactly what they wanted. But it's a decent song. What a really good song is, though, is The Crown is King, featuring Testament's Chuck Billy. It's lovely to hear Chuck Billy's 1990s death growl all over Killswitch Engage's music, and the refrain of Jesse's I Defy You really lives long in the memory after it's faded out. It's a cracking song and a real brutal song. But I did get to sort of past this song, which is about track 4, I think, and start to think, have we not heard all this before? This is essentially another Killswitch Engage album. It's a consistent one, yeah, but it's nothing groundbreaking, and it's nothing new really. And I just think it's got to 8 studio albums deep. Killswitch should really be doing something, I don't know, something a bit special by now. There's got some great dueling guitars on here, but we've always had that. Songs like Take Control and As Sure the Sun Will Rise, there's got some good dueling guitars on there. Sort of the Iron Maiden sounding dueling guitars, you know what I mean. And Jesse's vocal does sound amazing on here. And but it's just sort of, it's just another Killswitch album at the end of the day. I Am Broken Too is the mid-album ballad, come to speak, and it's sort of along the same lines as Always off Disarm the Descent or My Last Serenade, but nowhere near the standard of that. It feels a little bit forced. Not the fact that they don't mean it. I'm sure this is this does seem like a very personal album to Jesse especially, and I'm sure the band mean every note and every harmony they put together, but it just feels a bit forced. Here's a ballad, we'll put this one in here. And it starts to form a pattern, this album, of really fast, aggressive song, followed by a slightly ploddier song. I don't know if they've done that on purpose, but the tracking just seems a bit strange like that. This is definitely better than Incarnate, don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near as good as Disarm the Descent. It suffers from a bit of a mid-album dip, I think. Between track maybe 6 and 9, from sort of As Sure the Sun Will Rise till Ravenous, somewhere around that bit, it just feels like a bit, okay, here's another one. It didn't really grab me as much. Formulaic, I guess, but it's a formula that they invented, especially, and really what are Killswitch going to do? It does sit firmly within their comfort zone, I guess. It picks up near the end, actually. The last 2 songs I really enjoyed. What's it called? I Can't Be the Only One, which has got some wonderful guitar work, and Jesse's vocal is probably the best display on here of his vocal ability. And the closer is a really interesting one, actually. It's probably the most interesting song on the album, called Bite the Hand That Feeds. It's got some sort of off-kilter rhythms and a ferocious chorus full of bile and spit, and it sounds really urgent, that song. And that's probably my favourite song on the album. Talking of really urgent, it's only about 39 minutes long, this album, which isn't a criticism at all. I like it when albums just come in and out like that. But it sounds a bit rushed and a bit urgent, and, I don't know. It's a perfectly okay album. It's a 3.5 out of 5. It's a 7 out of 10. It's, I just don't feel like that's what Killswitch Engage needed on this album. I felt like they needed something massive, and what they've done is gone, here's a decent album, after the sort of disappointing Incarnate. It's not going to make the albums of the year in my eyes, but it's a decent Killswitch album. I'd like to see where they can go next, because I just feel like they need to do something massive. Incidentally, if you've never seen Killswitch Engage live, go check them out. They're touring the UK later this year if you're from that country, and they're still exceptional live. After 8 albums, they've got a set list to die for, and there's a couple of songs on here which I think will work really, really well. Anyway, let me know what you think of the Killswitch album, and I'll be back soon with another review.